Hey, what's up? It's Emilio DiSpirito, and this is the Wealth Architect Podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you each and every single week. My team and I have hand-selected our guests to come on the program to talk about how to build wealth financially, mentally, physically, spiritually, right? There's so much that goes into building a lifestyle full of wealth, and we hope that this content really reaches you, not only in your brain, but in your heart, and that you could do something with this. So thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you, and we're going to have a great show. Hey, a special thank you to our sponsor, Annie Mac Home Mortgage, whose Cash to Keys product is disrupting the industry. Sick and tired of finding the perfect home, not having your offer selected? I got to tell you, it happens all the time. With Cash to Keys, Annie Mac gives sellers a cash guarantee for each of their buyers' offers. Stop bidding and hoping. Instead, bid with Annie Mac and bid with confidence. Don't just bid, but win. Annie Mac Mortgage. Do you currently own an abundance of multifamily properties? Are you tired of working with property management companies that just continue to drop the ball and disappoint you? Why don't you start your own franchise? Go ahead and contact our friends at Nexus Property Management to see how their proprietary information and systems and marketing can work for you. The success that they have had all over the country is unbelievable. Check them out, Nexus Property Management, and go ahead and let them know you heard it here on The Wealth Architect. Episode number 18. Welcome to The Wealth Architect. I'm Emilio DiSpirito, and we've got a fantastic episode for you. I'm really excited because we're going to be talking today with a leader in the coaching space for business professionals, and we're talking about the 5 freedoms, starting with financial freedom, time freedom, geographic freedom, freedom of purpose, freedom of relationships. And again, we're talking with a business leader, Trevor McGregor, and he's the founder and CEO of Trevor McGregor International, and he coaches people with passion. I can tell you, I've watched a couple of his interviews. He does such a great job. He's done over 45,000 coaching sessions. And talk about a complete expert. He's a high-performance coach. He works with entrepreneurs, people that want to develop their portfolio with real estate, so it's right up our alley, of course. And he also empowers individuals to work on their outcomes in life and live to their passion to the fullest. And you can find out more at trevormcgregor.com. So without further ado, welcome to the Wealth Architect, Trevor.
Oh, well, Emilio, thank you for having me on the show. Absolutely blessed and grateful to be here with you.
I love that you say blessed. That's awesome because we truly are blessed. And, you know, before we jumped on the show, I asked you, I said, Trevor, where are you from? Can you tell our listeners, because we're talking about geographical freedom and you are living it. Can you tell our listeners what you told me?
You bet. Well, all those 5 freedoms you talked about are really what I believe that high performers really, really want. Yep. And so if you understand that financial freedom is the first one and time freedom is the second one, the third one is something that my wife and I and our family really believe in, and that is location and lifestyle freedom, or sometimes we'll call it geographical freedom. And I'm originally from Canada. You might hear that in my voice, Emilio, but we currently do live down under. So I'm living in Australia, but today I'm coming to you from Italy, as we've been here for most of the summer and been in Rome and, Venice and Milan. And I'm coming to you today from Florence. And once we're done this, we're off to Amsterdam and then London and then Scotland and then Greece.
Beautiful.
Before we return back home down under. And then we've got some things teed up in real estate and in personal growth in Japan. So we'll be headed over to Asia. And that's, why we call ourselves global citizens.
World-renowned global citizen. I love that. So before we dive into what you do and who you help and how you're going to help our listeners growing their business, their real estate portfolio and all of that, I kind of want to talk about a little bit about your background, right? And you have a background, I believe, in hospitality and in finance. And you had a financial hardship or something that really kind of gave you the inspiration, the purpose to move forward and start coaching. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely, Emilio. And it's an interesting story because, like most young guys in Canada, all you ever want to do is play sports. And for me, that dream was to be an NHL hockey player.
Yeah.
And I grew up thinking that maybe one day I'd be blessed enough to play in the NHL. And I had the speed, but I didn't have the size. And so what do you do when you realize you're not going to live your dream? Well, you go to university and college, you get your degree, and you end up going and working in corporate. And That's exactly what I did. And for me, that was working for a hospitality company that did a little bit of, everything when it comes to hospitality, a little bit of restaurants, a little bit of retail, that sort of thing. And I rose through the ranks to become the executive director of operations. And then at one point, the ownership group came to me and they said, Trevor, we really like having you on the team. We're going to have a big expansion plan in the year 2000. Would you think of coming in and, perhaps investing some money and being a part of our expansion? And Emilio, that's when I thought, wow, this is my great chance to, put in a little bit of money and, start my path to prosperity, as I call it. So I took all of my savings, I took all of my 401k, and I even convinced my own parents, who believed in me at the time, to take out a second 6-figure mortgage on the family home. And I dumped all of that into this expansion. Yeah. And things went well for about the first year until around 2001, right around the time the planes hit the towers, that we were expanding so fast in so many cities in Canada. And to make a long story short, we couldn't hang on and we ended up losing all of that money that I put in. So there I was, broke. I was in my early 30s, and I didn't know how I was going to, figure things out. I mean, I was married. I had 2 kids. And what does anyone do when they're down and out? Well, thank God for me, I, went and found a coach. And this coach said, I'm sorry that this has happened, but you're still a young man. You got to get up. You got to dust yourself off. And I said, I know, but I don't know how I'm going to do that. And he said one thing to me. He said, have you ever thought of investing in real estate? And I said, real estate? I don't know anything about real estate. And he said, you can literally buy a property using other people's money, fix it up, refinance it, rent it out. And my back was up against the wall. So that's exactly what I did.
Wow.
And to make a long story short, I started to buy townhouses and duplexes, refi those, started to buy 4plexes. And that's really when I figured out cash flow. And I went on to build a beautiful portfolio where in just 2.5 years, not only did I have a great portfolio, but I paid off all of those failed loans. Mm-hmm. And that's when people started coming to me saying, Trevor, how are you doing this? How are you buying these properties? And I'd say, well, let's sit down and I'll show you my blueprint. And I did. And it was my son's soccer coach that went out and bought his first rental property. And then another coach that went out and started to get into small apartments. And Emilio, that's when the coaching bug bit. So I'll put a pin in that and throw that back to you because I know it's a fire hose. But that's really how I got into coaching.
Trevor, that's unbelievable. And, anytime a man is down, or a woman, right? We're down at our lowest point. That's usually when the growth happens. It's usually when the inspiration comes. It's usually when you've fallen so hard, right? You become more resilient, and iron sharpens iron, right? And I think, and you said it there, like I read in between the lines, you're like, you said something about thank God, right? And I think that's the first thing people do when they realize that our problems truly are so insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And when you have that boom, that burst of reality, like there's so many bigger things out there, and God, is there, and he's going to help me. And it's true. And you just got to move forward and just focus forward and go. And it helps to have that person. You had that coach lead you along and say, hey, how about this? And you're like, I hadn't thought about that. Tell me, if you could, okay, your mindset, right? What were the real true, I'm talking about like the true feelings that you were feeling. Like, was it doubt? Was it like, were you ashamed? Was it like, tell me about those feelings when you were at your lowest, and let's talk about that.
Well, absolutely. And again, we're really, a product of our emotions. And at the time when I was going through the fire, it was doubt, it was fear, it was worry, it was anxiety. I mean, I didn't even know how I was going to figure it out, let alone tell my parents that I just lost all of this money on the family home. I mean, I was so embarrassed, and here they loved me and they believed in me. And yet, this coach kept saying that it's not your fault, with any business venture, whether it's, getting into a business or buying a piece of real estate, there's risk associated with it. And that's why most people just hunker down in a W-2 job. And,
that's right.
Just kind of sail there for the rest of their life. And
he
had a great quote where he said that great ships weren't built to stay safe in the harbor. Great ships were built to go out there and sail the 7 seas. And so I sailed that sea, and he said, you're ready for the new sea. And that sea was called real estate.
I absolutely love that. Now, there's some people that might be listening here, right? And these are the people that need to hear it the most. Okay. And that's why I asked you about your feelings, because if you are in business, if you're an entrepreneur, there is going to be times and multiple times where you're going to feel all of those feelings that Trevor just so well explained. And sometimes you might feel stuck. So Trevor, when somebody feels stuck, what is the catalyst? Like, what's going to move them? What do they do? What can you do?
Well, it's such a great question, Emilio. And you've certainly, had your fair share of ups and downs yourself and had to figure out either, to go down a path or blaze a new trail. And for me, when somebody is stuck or somebody's uncertain or somebody's got that doubt, the fear, the worry, the anxiety, that's really a calling from the universe to start to ask better questions. It's a calling from the universe to pick up and start reading some books. Mm-hmm. It's a calling from the universe to tune into great podcasts like yours here.
Thank you.
Or even start to, uncover that, little secret that we all eventually fall into called personal growth. Mm-hmm. And it was around that same time that I started to build my real estate portfolio that, I became infatuated with Tony Robbins. And I literally would go to the events and I'd listen to the, CDs back at the time. And those weren't, podcasts then. It was literally CDs. And I literally had the opportunity to hire my own Tony Robbins coach. And that was an exceptional experience because now I found somebody that, could help me co-create what the next level was. Not only did they continue to help me get through some of my doubts and some of the feelings that I had about, well, what if I make a mistake? Or what if I lose money? Or what if they take it? Or what if they tax it? But this coach was instrumental. And I'm telling you, I worked with him for about a year. And when we were about a year into the relationship, he said to me, Trevor, Tony wants to expand the coaching division and is hiring part-time coaches. Would you ever consider putting in a resume, to come work for Tony Robbins? I thought, oh my God, like Tony's ever going to hire me, right? I'm just a kid from Canada. I was in hospitality. I, kind of found my way into real estate, but I didn't think I had anything to offer. But this coach, his name was Dave. He said, I really do believe that you've got the right disposition, the right skill set, the right mindset, and what Tony looks for called heart set, right? And so I said, all right, I'll throw my resume in, not expecting it to go anywhere. And I literally put my resume in and there were 500 applicants for 20 spots. 500.
I can imagine.
And I thought there's no way that this is ever going to happen. But I got shortlisted from 500 down to 250, 250 to 100, 100 to 50. And even at that, you don't become a coach. You got to start going to all the events, reading all Tony's books, listening to the CDs, and then doing your practicum. And my practicum was in Orlando, Florida. So I spent considerable amount of time in Orlando. And to make a long story short, when the dust settled, not only did they offer me a part-time job, they offered me a full-time job. Wow. So I literally went to work for the man, the myth, the legend, for Tony Robbins as half a decade.
I love that.
And what was great is Tony would give me most of the real estate clients, because by that time I was starting to get into multifamily apartment syndication. Yep. I was doing self-storage. We were doing a whole bunch of stuff in everything from modular housing to buying retreat centers in Costa Rica. So I had quite a range of things that I could share with clients in terms of helping them close that gap from where they were to where they want to be. But working for Tony was absolutely an amazing experience.
Wow, that is unbelievable. I mean, talk about a life-changing event, Trevor. So it's amazing. One conversation, one person, connecting with you, or us connecting with one person, can totally change the trajectory of somebody's life. And that's my hope with these conversations and with interviewing great guests as yourself. So Tony Robbins, complete legend in personal growth in that space. Can you tell me what was your number one takeaway from seeing him and learning from him?
Yes, absolutely, Emilio. And to work for Tony, I mean, you get to peer behind the curtain and really see, what really allows this man to do the work that he's doing. I mean, he's 65 years of age now. He's been doing his work on this beautiful planet for over 40 years. And if I had to sum it up into one sentence, it's really all about his commitment to helping the world become a better place through contribution. Yeah. Right. If we really think about the purpose of life or what we're here to do, I have a motto that we're here to learn, to live, to laugh, to love, to grow, and to help our fellow man and woman do the same thing. And if we retrace what Tony's done, well, he's helped so many people, in fact, millions of people, to learn, to live, to laugh, to love, to grow, and to not let failure stop them. Mm-hmm. Right. And another one of my mentors is really, some people would think that it's not a mentor, but it comes from the book Think and Grow Rich, in terms of what Napoleon Hill learned from Andrew Carnegie when he said, "Thank you very much. Good for you. We've got the exact same copy. In fact, I got many copies scattered throughout our house." But he did say that there is no failure. There's only feedback. And as business owners and real estate investors and, Fortune 500 executives and doctors and attorneys, a lot of the people I coach, they get to that point where they either hit the wall or they plateau. And whether it's Tony or me or you or someone else on this beautiful show, because I've listened to many of your guests, they offer value where we really understand the phrase success leaves clues, right?
It does,
success leaves clues. And if you hire the coaches, you read the books, you listen to the podcasts, you go to the events or the real estate meetups, you literally learn off of other people where we call it turning decades into days, right? And again, you don't want to take 10 years to figure it out. You want to start navigating through it. And I think that's what you've done. That's what I've done. That's what we help other people to do. And that's really where it becomes extremely fulfilling to do this work.
100% where it's at. And every single successful person that I have ever met, I'd say about 95% of millionaires that I have met, and I've probably in real estate maybe met 1 or 2 billionaires, have read this book, Think and Grow Rich, or they've hired a coach to help them in areas, because like you said, instead of decades, you could do it in days. And I find that is probably the direct correlation between people that are highly successful and people that are not, is you have to be coachable. I want to ask you, what are the top 5 things that you feel prevent people from scaling?
Well, it's such a great question. And again, after doing 45,000 coaching sessions, which is an actual statistic, and you hear my voice is raspy, I'd have to be an idiot at this stage not to know what it is. So I call these the 5 key reasons why people fail to scale in business or in real estate in life. And the very first one shouldn't be a shock to you or anyone else. And that is because we all have, number 1, limiting beliefs, right? And those limiting beliefs prevent us from going out there and trying, or tell us we're too old, or we're too young, or we're too educated, or we're not educated enough. But at the end of the day, it's all, what do you really, really believe, and where do you get those beliefs from? And are those your parents' beliefs or your school teachers' beliefs or your siblings? Because I can tell you, just like, computer software, it's definitely time for an upgrade. So the number one thing I do as a high performance coach with people all over the world is we start by checking in with their beliefs, their values, their rules for who they are, what they want, why they want it, and we get rid of anything that doesn't support them. Does that make sense?
100%. As you're telling me that, I'm thinking about the book, The 4 Agreements, because it talks about that in that book too. So if you're listening to this, pick up The 4 Agreements, and really you got to uncover first, identify what those limiting beliefs are, and you got to pull back the layers on that. Where did that come from? Because I agree with you. Doubt. That's evil. That's wrong. Like, doubt is just, and we all get it. It doesn't mean we're evil, but that's planted by the enemy. We need to look past doubt, and we need to look past our limiting beliefs. Good. What's number 2?
Number 2, which is, a lack of goal setting or a vision for your business and your life, right? Most people spend more time planning their 1-week trip to Florida or Mexico a year than they do their business or their life. So we take a look at, what are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? And really, what's the vision that you have for your business and your life? And now we can reverse engineer that and start taking what we call intelligent and inspired action towards it. And when I say intelligent and inspired action, intelligent means smart, right? But inspired means because you get to, not because you have to.
Yep.
And once you reinvent your, limiting beliefs and you start getting a vision and a plan for where you want to go, that's the 1-2 punch that gets this whole thing started.
I love that you said because you get to, not because you have to. And that's another thing. So I own a real estate brokerage. It's one of the 7 businesses that I own and operate. And in that business, Coach, I'm telling you, I can tell within 5 minutes of conversation with somebody if they're going to make it in real estate or not. And I know that might sound like kind of crazy. I don't know if you feel it too, but it's all in how they're talking. And if they're talking about, oh, I'm doing this because I want to make money. All right, that's part of it. But if there's no passion there, they're not going to be able to handle the rejection, the doors slammed in their face, the constant no from family, friends, other past coworkers, people that you would depend on, because you're going to hear no so many times. You need to be okay with rejection. You can only get through that with passion.
So good. You're singing from my song sheet 1,000%. And really, that's where you get to that point in life where you've really got to sit down and get clear on what you really, really believe is helping you and what you believe are some of those beliefs that are hindering you. But for the committed, there's always a way to improve. So that's really number 2.
So that's a freaking great quote. For the committed, there's always a way to improve.
You bet.
It's fantastic. All right, number 3, where are we at?
All right. Once you start cracking through those limiting beliefs, which is number 1, and start setting goals and a vision for your life, number 2, the third thing that prevents people from really scaling is a lack of systems for support. A lack of systems for support, because we can get rid of your limiting beliefs and help you to create a vision and a goal and a plan. But if you're not creating systems that support you, if you're not identifying, what is your passion, or what do you love to do, or what's your zone of genius, and who do you need to surround yourself with? What's their zone of genius? Is it a VA? Is it a team? Is it a coach? Is it AI? Right? Even today, you can start taking a look at how AI can support you, because we know that most people start creating systems, but those systems fall away, or they break, or they're not sustainable. And that's one of the key reasons why it takes them so long to scale.
Zone of genius, Trevor, like I've talked with a lot of people. I have like one of my coaches is he used to coach UFC fighters, right? So like I am blown away by what I hear from our guests, and the stuff that you are coming out with. I love it because it's authentic, it's original. I'm learning as I'm talking with you, which is part of the reason why I do this podcast, just the curiosity behind it all. But zone of genius, that really stuck with me because, when we're thinking about running a business and all of the different tasks that we are set with, it's everything from accounting to marketing and everything in between, sales and all of that. Where are you best fit to be working? Where are you going to make the most momentum and power for your company? And you need to just be there and hire out or systemize out for everything else, right? That's where you're getting at with that, right? And so many times, I want to take a couple moments on this because this is a place where I see so many different types of business people fall off the wagon. And I would say read the E-Myth, the Entrepreneurial Myth by Michael Gerber. Would you suggest that too?
1,000%, Emilio. I mean, you're talking about some of the greatest books that exist to help business owners and entrepreneurs really move forward. So huge props to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's so great. There's no limit to what we can access out there, right? Especially with ChatGPT and all of that. But really being able to tap into people, into books, and really being able to dig down and learn all of these things. So it's not decades, it's days, like you said a little bit earlier. That's great. Awesome one. What's number 4?
Number 4 is a real interesting one. And it's something I'd simply call poor time management. Poor time management. We all have something known as the rule of 168. And if you don't know what that rule means or decrees, it means that we all have 168 hours a week. 7 days times 24 is 168. Now we sleep for some of those hours. We eat, we pay the bills, we play with the kids. But really, what are you doing with the rest of your time? And are you working on things that are urgent, or are you working on things that are important? Because most people are putting out fires, Emilio, working on things that they think are urgent when they've got to protect time and carve out time to work on what's important. How would you speak to number 4?
How would I speak to number 4? Is that what you just said?
Yeah. Do you find that with people that they're really, not really in charge of their time, and they might be scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or doing busy work instead of doing the highly productive stuff that moves the needle forward? Man,
I found that myself. And, and literally it's just once I then to take it back to systems, once I connected with my business partner, Joe Fazio, and he saw that I was like just a scatterbrain ADHD, like awesome with people, awesome with sales, awesome with vision, awesome with creativity. He got in his role. We systemized everything. He was the integrator. I was the visionary, right? And he's also a visionary too, but I was a visionary. He was an integrator. I forget what book that was. Rocket Fuel, maybe?
Traction.
Yes, Traction, right? So,
EOS, yes.
So we put that together. We systemized everything. And now guess what I get to do? I get to take weekends off. I get to be home by 5 p.m. and I got a team of people doing everything from producing this podcast in an amazing way. Talented people, awesome people that could do things far better than I ever could in all of those areas. But I get to lead and I get to go ahead and do what I do best, and that's put deals together and make connections with people like you. So there's still a lot of areas in my schedule that I can cut out. And part of that, I think, is social media, right? Social media is such a time suck. It's horrible. But one other thing I want to add to this is that I realized I was wasting a lot of time in my car listening to music. And while I love music, it puts me in a good mood, great vibes. I had 26 books I was missing out on per year. So now I'm doing that.
Yep. That's fantastic. We call that the University on Wheels. And my Tesla or SUV doesn't go anywhere without a great audiobook or a great, podcast or something where I would say 80% of the time I'm learning, and I still keep 20% of the time for some of my favorite tunes or favorite musicians. But that's what we call zigging and zagging. If you can zig 80% of the time and zag 20% of the time, you're in good form.
Trevor, do you ship your Tesla everywhere? You're in different continents like every other week. Do you have cars all
Yes.
over? Rent them? What do you do?
Yeah, we've become pretty specific about what we drive, where we drive it. So when we're in Canada, it's a little bit colder. When we're in Australia, it's a little bit more Jeep and Outback. And then here in Europe, we don't own anything, but we do rent some nice vehicles to enjoy the Tuscany Hills and all of those things. So it's just like anything else. What makes the most sense for where we are, when we're there, if we're coaching or doing live events or running masterminds, because my wife and I do couples retreats.
Oh, wow.
It really depends what the flavor of the day is about.
Wow. All right. I'm curious. I want to ask you about that. But before I do, if you're tuning in, TrevorMcGregor.com, and that's Trevor, TrevorMcGregor.com, just as you would believe it is. TrevorMcGregor.com. Go ahead and you can connect with them there. You can ask, I'm sure, questions. You can reach out and you can see the different areas of expertise that he has and how he can help you with your business, help you scale your business as well. If you have a podcast, he might be a great guest for you as well, too. So please reach out, connect with him there, follow him on social media, and you'll be able to see this content as well. If you're not already looking at it on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, we're also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and where else are we? SoundCloud. That's right, SoundCloud too. So good stuff. Trevor, I want to ask you about the couples retreat thing, because relationships are a huge part of the freedoms, of the 5 freedoms, right? And a lot of people have a hard time balancing that, and there really is no balance, right? But what do you do on those couple retreats? I'm interested. I got a girl.
You know what, Emilio, we found over the years that different people need different levels of coaching. Some need business coaching, some need mindset coaching, some need real estate coaching. But a huge thing out there is where we coach either the man or the woman, and they start to outpace their spouse or their significant other. And my wife, Lisa, and I, we believe in no man or woman left behind. And so for the last couple of years, we've been doing, the Freedom Code for Couples, which is really a high-level couples retreat for high performers or successful people that are perhaps in real estate, or they're in Fortune, 500 companies, or they're entrepreneurial, or maybe they're doctors or attorneys, to really understand how do we move to the 5 levels of freedom: the financial freedom, the time freedom, the location or geographic and lifestyle freedom, combined with impact freedom and relationship freedom. So I know we've kind of talked about the first 3, right? The financial, time, and location freedom. But number 4 is really where we help other people identify, what is it something that you want to do more of? Who are you? What do you want to do with your life? And if you could make a bigger impact, what would that look like? And oftentimes that is, an individual. But oftentimes it's a couple that wants to, define their legacy or create a dynasty or, generational wealth and some of those things. And that's exactly what we coach around. But number 5 is our favorite, and that's called relationship freedom, where you don't just hang around with energy vampires. You find ways to get around other people that are just like you and I. These are high performers, probably with multiple streams of income, doing something in real estate or something that adds so much value to others that literally the high tide lifts all boats.
I love
and
that
so as
quote.
we get around these couples and we start, really doing the 5 things that prevent people from scaling, which is, again, getting clear on, any mindset wobbles you've got, creating the goals and the vision, getting systems in place to, do that, optimize your calendar because there's things that you should do or delay or delegate or dump, right? And then the fifth one we didn't get to was really execution. We help people get all of that on the table, and then we literally take them by the hand, and through this beautiful group of individuals that all want to see everyone else, go to the next level. That's when sparks fly and magic happens. And we're so proud of our clients. Wow. We're so proud of the couples we've coached. We literally do live events in America, but we also do live events down under in Italy, where, that's part of the reason why we travel is we like to give people experiences, because Lisa and I are big believers in experiences over stuff.
Yeah.
And we still have nice stuff, the houses and the cars and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, we'd rather help people have experiences. So that's really what we do on the Couples Freedom Code. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that's absolutely unbelievable. And I love that you said experiences over stuff, right? Because stuff really bogs us down. And you see, and I'm noticing this, right? The wealthier I get, right? And I'm talking about not financially, I'm talking about mentally, spiritually, physically, all of those areas, the wealthier I get financially, but in all of those areas, right, that I get, I'm noticing how when I didn't have money, I was more concerned about the clothes I had or the type of car I was riding or like the watch or whatever, all of those things. But now that isn't even on the top of my list. What's on the top of my list is the freedoms which we talked about today. The freedom of financial freedom, of course, because that provides security for your family, time freedom, geographical freedom. The fact that you can bounce around all over the continents, okay, is unbelievable. It's fantastic. Freedom of purpose, because purpose is really what continues to drive us, right? What's our legacy? Where are we going to leave behind? And then relationships. And those are all the most important things. So it really stuck with me when you said you focused on what'd you say? Not stuff. You're focused on experiences.
And again, if you really get to that point in life where, you've got the money, you've got the house, you got the cars, there's always another level. But for us, it's not even about what, it's not about making the money. It's what you can do with it, to really live the best life you can. And maybe you want to do some charity work. Maybe you want to create a foundation. Maybe you want to do mission trips. But I'm telling you, as you work towards those 5 freedoms, by really working through those 5 reasons why people fail to scale, when you combine those two and have a little of what we call idea sex, that's where sparks fly and magic happens, because people start to cross-pollinate. They start to see things through a different lens of possibility. And it's a funny little term that we use, but yes, that's something that we help couples do.
Wow. All right. That's good. Before I let you go, okay, got a couple of other questions for you. Number 1, 2 most influential people of all times.
That is a very, very good question, Emilio. And oh my gosh, so many people are flooding into my mind. But, the very first one I have to give the nod to is my grandmother, because my grandmother was very entrepreneurial. So again, she grew up with nothing, yet she started a general store. She started side hustles. She found a way to add value to people where money became the byproduct of that value, and ended up doing some pretty cool things in her lifetime. So, huge shout out to Grams. But beyond that, I got to give the nod to Tony Robbins. I mean, Tony Robbins is really built around 2 things, growth and contribution. And the, thing that I love about, having him as a coach and a mentor and a boss and somebody I admire is that never stops. So as long as you, as long as I, as long as the listener continues to grow and to contribute, that's really going to lead to what we call a life of true fulfillment. And at the end of the day, Emilio, that's what we're after. We all want to do something spectacular, and not from the ego, but really from a place of growth and contribution.
There was a time, right, where I was like getting lethargic. I was like pretty overweight, right? Like I was bending down to pick my son up. I was losing my breath, hit financial rock bottom at another time. And like during those times, I'm telling you what got me out of that. If you're listening and you're having a hard time right now, what's going to get you out of that is just start moving. Start moving, start listening to great books, great content, surround yourself with great people. If they're in your family, like Trevor's grandmother, like, wow, what an inspirational woman. Or Tony Robbins, right? Like, and if you don't have direct access to these people, you actually kind of do. You could go ahead and check them out on YouTube or anywhere. The content is free. Just get your mind uncluttered and get in a place where you start moving around. You're going to feel, your body is going to release hormones that are going to make you feel better. That's a fact. Get out in the sun, right? Last question for you, Trevor. I mean, I could ask you a million more, but for today, for this interview, last question right now. Your top 2 favorite books, what are they and why?
Well, I've already spoken about one of them, and that is, the unbelievable book, Think and Grow Rich. I mean, it is like the Bible for anyone who wants to marry personal growth with understanding that the secret of that book, and Napoleon Hill references this, might be found on page 4 or page 116 or page 92, because he says it's repeated throughout the book. Well, spoiler alert, the secret of the book is on the front cover, because he says to think and grow rich. Note that he didn't call it do and grow rich, because the thinking comes before the doing. So I got to give a nod to, Think and Grow Rich. And the other one, is probably Personal Power by Tony. I keep, bringing it back to Tony, but these are tried and true concepts where if you look at how long ago these books have been written, they still stand the test of time today and apply as much to us in, 2025 as they did back when they were written. So I'd say Think and Grow Rich and Personal Power, those would be 2 of my faves.
Fantastic suggestions. Trevor, I've enjoyed coaching with you. I've enjoyed listening to you as you've coached us. One other thing that I get when I'm talking with you, though, is that you throw the questions back at people, right? And I find that the best people in coaching do that, because without really understanding where somebody is, you can't meet them where they're at to help pull them up. So I love that. I think you do such a great job. I got full faith in you. I wrote down the couples retreat thing. I think that could be a lot of fun. So I'll be reaching out to you for that. And again, for all of our listeners, if you want to go ahead and connect with Coach, you can go ahead and reach him at Trevor McGregor.com. Again, TrevorMcGregor.com. Go ahead and throw it in Google. You'll find him. Thank you so much, Trevor.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, and keep up the amazing work, because it's beyond impressive.
I appreciate you very much. It's very kind to you, and it's an experiment and an experience every single week. So thanks for being a part of it, and I hope to get to see you at some point in the future. I'd like to take a minute and thank Ted Topouzis, my friend over at Topouzis and Associates, for sponsoring this program, making this message possible for you to hear. And if you're fortunate enough to live in Florida, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, or Connecticut, you're going to want to leverage the power behind Ted Topouzis and his team for your real estate transactions. You need a legal team that understands real estate inside and out, and this is what they do, specifically real estate. So go ahead and contact our friends at TAClosinglaw.com and let them know where you heard it, right here on The Wealth Architect, Topouzis and Associates. All right, welcome to The Wealth Architect. I'm Emilio DiSpirito, and one of my favorite parts of doing this podcast is asking questions and learning, but also engaging with our listeners. So a couple of episodes back, we had a lot of fun with this. We had some listeners that asked questions along the way, and we have an opportunity today again to answer some questions. So I'd like to thank you. If you were one of these people that submitted these questions through Instagram, we were able to get back to you and answer these questions. So what do we got? This one's coming in from James Corcoran of Boston. Thanks for tuning in, James. You've mentioned coming from humble beginnings. What was the first asset you bought that truly made you feel like a wealth architect? Wealth architect, he put in. I like that. I would say the first one that I bought actually came in through the radio, right? It came in through my radio show, the DiSpirito Team Real Estate Show. And this was back in, I want to say 2016, 17. And it was a single family, a very small 2-bedroom single family home. I bought it for $97,500, right? I bought that property. It wasn't the first property I bought. It was like the third or fourth, but I bought that as an investment property. It was a rental. I fixed it up a little bit, and I got it rented out, and I loved it. And I love buying small houses for the simple reason that the bigger houses around the area pull the value up, right? So smaller houses actually always sell at a higher price per square foot, and you always get a higher return on them from my experience. And I'm talking about single family homes here. So that house, I turned that into what is now what I believe a real estate empire that I'm building, right? So I did a 1031 exchange when I sold that, and I bought multiple properties with the down payment with that equity through a 1031 exchange. So yes, I would say that single family home that came in through my radio was the first wealth architect purchase. Thank you so much, James. Next question. Jessica Liu? I'm going to say Lou. Jessica Liu from Seattle, Washington. Thank you. What's your personal approach to building wealth while raising a family? How do you teach your kids about money without spoiling them? I love that question, right? Because as parents, we need to be teaching our kids everything, right? From manners down to how to take care of themselves. Now, I have a son, so I'm teaching him how to take care of his family, right? And there's no better way than doing, right? They're seeing you, they're watching you. You need to be the epitome of a man or a woman that you want them to relate to when they're older, when they're going through life difficulties. If they can look back and say, oh, my dad or my mom would have dealt with it like this, that's super good. But the other thing I'm doing is I have my son do a lemonade stand. Kid made $117 his first day doing this. We did fresh squeeze lemonade, and I showed him how to do a profit and loss statement. He was 5 when we did that. He loved it. And while he probably didn't understand anything on the profit and loss statement, it was still introduced to him. He did understand sales, and he did understand how to make lemonade. He makes a really good lemonade now. So I would suggest a lemonade stand or anything like that, and also being the person that you want your children to grow up and be, right? And by the way, parenting is the most difficult job in the world. I'm sure Lucas, our producer here, can attest to that, and any other parent listening. All right, the next question is coming in from Elena Vasquez from Miami, Florida. Miami, beautiful spot down there. You talk about legacy often. What's one thing you're doing now that you believe your grandkids will benefit from, even if they never meet you? I would say one of them is naming my son after my father, my grandfather, and great-grandfather, and myself. He's Emilio the Fifth, right? So that's number one. Just instilling family values, and there's more that goes into it than just that, right? Like Sunday dinners with the family, getting the immediate family together is absolutely huge, right? So that's like the personal legacy thing. Just be around your family. It's the most important people you're ever going to be around in your life, right? So that. Then the second thing would be investments, right? You want to have long-term investment strategies. For me, that's real estate, okay? So I want to buy apartment buildings that are, good, steady income, passive income, and appreciating assets over time for my future family that, who knows, maybe they're watching this and this is, 40, 50, 100 years from now, and maybe I'm gone and they're benefiting from that. So hi. And I hope you're enjoying it, the legacy that I left you. Next question is from Brandon Lee from Chicago, Illinois. All right, so Chicago. You've worked through different market cycles. What's the biggest trap you see people falling into in 2025 in the economy here? Well, I would say a couple of things. And this doesn't matter what year it is. It's leading without purpose, right? So if you don't have passion or purpose in what you're doing and you're doing it only for the financial gain, you're probably going to fail, because building a life of wealth, right? And I'm just talking from my experiences. I could be wrong, but this is my experiences, and a lot of people I've interviewed on this show and have met with and see. But building a life of wealth is just so much more than just money, right? It's like, what are you going to do to give back? And the more you give, just the more you get for some odd reason. That's just the way it works. It's not why we give, but I would suggest making sure that you're leading with passion, right? In whatever it is that you do. That's number one. Number two, I would say don't get caught up in things you don't know about. So I see a lot of people investing crazy money in crypto, which I think could be great if you know that, or stocks. Like, don't jump all in on something you don't know about. Look at Warren Buffett. He's only that good because he literally rips apart companies and looks through every little last financial statement he can get his hands on, and looks through the media about this company, everything and anything, does his research. So do your research on investments before you dive all in. That's my suggestion for you, Brandon. Let's see what else. We got one other question. This is coming in from Fiona Clark from Dublin, Ireland. Wow. That's good. I'm glad we are reaching guests in Ireland. Cool. Were you sober when you wrote this? Is that wrong? Can I say that? Not all Irish people are drunks. How do you personally, I'm 5% Irish. I think I could say that. How do you personally avoid burnout while juggling your real estate career, podcast, speaking gigs, and family life? Fiona, thank you so much. All jokes aside, I love the Irish people. You don't. You are going to get burnt out. And when you are burnt out and down and out and on your last leg, that's where your true character shows. And you need to, that's really where it matters most, right? So just focus on the end goal, just focus on your passion, and just stay with that in mind. Something you can do sometimes, just take a mental break. And you may say, like, how? Even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you go for a walk, get some sun, breathe, and just always thank God and always ask God for guidance and help. And that's what I do, and it gets me through the toughest of times. So awesome question, Fiona. And I hope I didn't offend any Irish people with that comment. I don't think so. Irish people are tough. I'm going to get people busting down the door, punching me in my face in a couple minutes. I got to go. We're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Wealth Architect. I'm Emilio DiSpirito. I enjoy your questions. I hope you enjoy these interviews. Thank you so much. God bless you. We'll see you right back here next week on The Wealth Architect.